Hi everyone, Steve Field from the Prime Safety Department coming to you from the basement of the Z building today. They're telling me this is live, so it's putting a little bit of pressure on us today to do our best. First thing I want to start with today is an apology. When COVID started last year around March or April, we got off to a good start with videos, keeping you informed of what was going on. And honestly, I'm not really sure what happened, but over the holidays, and responsibility rests with me, we kind of backed off on those videos. I don't know if we thought we were saturating the market or other priorities, but really there is no priority more important than keeping you informed. And we've heard from the fleet loud and clear, we need to do better getting information out to the fleet. We really miss our Friday morning meetings. That meeting that we have is unique within the trucking industry. When we have guests in at Prime, we'd love to have them come to that meeting and go, holy cow, this is incredible, this meeting, that you have this every week. And yeah, we do, 52 weeks a year we did until March 13th when we canceled it, and we haven't been back. And we're not really going to talk a lot about COVID today. I think there is some light at the end of the tunnel. We're starting to see perhaps the opportunity that later in this year we'll be able to get back to some live events. We're not coming up with a schedule yet. We know we're not ready for those events right now. The bottom line is it's just not safe to put, for our smaller events, 100, 200 people in one room for 2 or 3 hours. It's just not the right thing to do at this time. And certainly putting 1,000 people in a room for some of our events, whether it's the holiday party, the Million Mile dinners, we're just not there yet. That is our goal. We will get back to that. I can guarantee you that. One way or another, we're going to get back to that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get back hopefully on our weekly schedule. We're going to try a different format this time. We're going to start it out today. This is appearing live on Facebook. We're also going to put the video out for people to view in their leisure. So we're going to get back to getting that information out weekly. We're going to try to include drivers in it. We're accepting questions during the meeting. We've got a good group of people here that are going to present some information to you, but also we want to hear questions from you. We want to hear topics. If you don't want to have a question, maybe a topic for next week. We try to keep them interesting. We try to keep them informative, and that is our responsibility to you. So again, I apologize that there's been this lag in the meetings. We're going to make that up, and we're going to get started today. What we've got today is we're right in the middle of winter. So we've got Dave White and Dennis Davis are going to talk a little bit about winter driving. We've got Stan Kasterke, who's going to talk about our training program. That training program is our lifeline. That is why we are where we are today, because of our training program. We're really proud of it. We think it produces some of the best drivers in the industry. What I think is really neat is that on our Million Mile dinners, we now have drivers that are being honored for 2 million safe miles. That's 14 years of safe driving that started here as a PSD. I think that says a lot for the driver, it says a lot for our PSD program, and it says a lot for Prime. One of my topics at the Million Mile dinners is always, it's two parts. It's about safety, and it's also about longevity with a company. And you all know, I hate to say it, but you could go to virtually any company and drive for. We are grateful that you're here. We're grateful that you have stayed with us. And our challenge every year, every day, is to make sure we're doing what's necessary for you to say, I don't want to go anywhere else. I've been at Prime for 14 years. I just got my 2 million Safe Mile award. I want to get to that 3 million level. I want to get to that 4 million level. I want to be the first driver at Prime to hit 5 million safe miles. So that's part of what the Million Mile program is about, and it starts with our training program, so Stan's going to talk about that. We've got Justin Kaufman here to talk about some winter issues. Winter is a challenge. I can tell you, it's a challenge for us to get into the office. The challenge that you face is 1,000 times more difficult than that. So what you do out there is just incredible. Us civilians, we go to Walmart, we want to see that head of lettuce there. We want that chicken there, that pork. And the only way it gets there is through the drivers in this country. And a great deal of that is done by Prime and Prime drivers. So Justin's going to talk a little bit about what we can do, what you can do to be a little bit more prepared for winter and maybe face some of those obstacles get ahead of them so you don't have a dead battery, you don't have an issue with snow or chains or something. So Justin will talk about several issues. We'll see if we have any questions, and then what I always consider the highlight of any event we have, any video we do, Steve Wutke and Robert Lowe will come up, and they don't have a script. They're just going to talk about whatever they want to, and we'll see where it goes. We may remind them that it is live, so we might have to rein them in just a little bit, but that's okay. It's going to be good information. So we're going to get started today, and we appreciate whether you're tuning in live, giving this a little test run, or you watch it later, because we do attempt to put good information out to you. So we're going to start with Dave White and Dennis Davis. They're going to come up together. We're going to separate them a little bit here. We're going to get some social distancing, but I think it's important that we have them both up here to kind of go back and forth. If one has one part of it, the other can chime in, add information. So Dave, Dennis, why don't you come on up and let's go into winter driving, please.
All right, thank you, Steve. Hello, Facebook land.
Hello.
Isn't that great? This is a little bit different, but hey, we're fine.
A little bit different. So, typically on a Friday morning meeting, we'd always start off and say, hey, good Friday morning, but today's Tuesday, so good Tuesday morning. Today is Tuesday, February 9th, 2021.
Already.
We're so glad to be past that 2020 stage, but of course, at the beginning of every year, we've got winter.
There we go. Today, perfect example of what's going on here in Southwest Missouri. We got ice, we got cold weather, more cold weather coming, even talking more ice in the next few days here. Schools are out, people don't know what to do because the roads are so slick out there. So we figured this would be a perfect time to hit that winter driving again. Last couple weeks, Dennis, we've been doing really well on our accidents on winter. Hopefully this continues. Our equipment here at Prime, we outfit it. We've got a lot of safety technology. We got the roll stability system.
Right.
We got the forward collision warning system. We got interlock braking system, all this stuff. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the number one tool, and that's the driver in the truck.
Absolutely.
The driver in the truck is what makes the difference here. So we provide a lot of tools for you out there on the road to be safe, but at the end of the day, it's what you do, how you drive that truck. And more importantly, in the wintertime, maybe not drive and let for those road conditions to clear up a little bit. So, Dennis, let's start this out. First pitch here, trip planning. What should drivers do, you think, as far as getting ready? You're taking the load from Springfield, Missouri, going to upstate New York. What should you do as far as winter driving?
First thing you want to do is make sure that, especially for our newer drivers, be in contact with your fleet manager, and they can assist you with this process of trip planning. You want to make sure you can do the load legally. Of course, we don't want to violate any log hours, and especially during the winter time, you want to add a little bit of padding on the back end, just in case you run into some traffic in Chicago, believe it or not, that happens, or any urban area, just in case you have a blowout on a trailer tire, or maybe you had planned to drive a full 10-hour shift, but fatigue kicks in because you've been dealing with a lot of issues and you need to shut down a little bit early. These are all okay. Make sure you pull out that atlas. Please don't solely rely on the GPS. Pull out that atlas, do your trip plan, make sure you've got the miles down, make sure you've got the time down, account for the change in time zones, and make sure that you can get the load delivered there on time. And if you can't, it's not the end of the world. Let's just communicate with our fleet manager. Let's be realistic on our expectations, and I'm pretty sure every single customer understands that, if you need to shut down, and we can't emphasize that enough. So often we've talked to drivers this winter season that, I just felt like I had to get that load there. The last driver that I talked to, I made the comment that, hey, you weren't carrying parts, you weren't carrying lungs, you weren't carrying bullets to the front line.
Or the COVID vaccine.
Not carrying the COVID vaccine or testing kits.
That's right.
She was carrying frozen fries from McCain's. And she just felt it was so imperative that she operate, for one, to get it there, and two, just to make sure that she could get that next load. Hindsight's 2020. We all know that, and we know that we can Monday morning quarterback this whole deal and sit in the comfort of our chairs and have the opportunity to rewind and fast forward and look at graphs, and we know you have to make a decision split second. But at the end of the day, you can shut down any time you want. You are the captain of the ship. Trust me, 10 hours later, 10-hour break, the storm's going to be passed. You know, the state of Iowa or Ohio or whatever it is, they're going to have their plows out, all right? They're going to have the solutions on the interstate, and us folks that are rushing to work doing a commute, we're going to be there and be home by then to give you the opportunity to make the decision on what you want to do. The key is, Dave, with any planning process, to make sure that you're communicating with your fleet manager.
That is right there, yeah. Fleet managers are communicating with sales if the load's going to be late. Sales can communicate with the customer. That's how it works. And you know, there isn't a life out there that's worth a load of freight at all. And we want our operators safe. We want the motoring public safe. At the end of the day, if you need to stop or slow down or whatever may be, and that load may not get there on time, communicate. There's no doubt about it. So, Dennis, one other thing I want to bring up too, as far as trip planning, making sure you know what's going on as far as weather is going across the country. You know, you're heading to upstate New York. You'll be running through Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, part of PA. You got that possible lake effect snow coming off of there. It gets into the Interstate 90 going up that direction. Making sure you're prepared for incoming weather conditions. And maybe, maybe instead of running through Wyoming, where you get that winds and all that and snow too, maybe it's better off talking to your fleet manager and say, hey, can I take the southern route? If I'm going to Northern California, will you let me run the southern route, a few more miles, but let me run down there, stay out of those states where we have, you know, issues with, and everyone has issues with. It's just not prime because of the weather. So, you know, open up that communication with your fleet manager, making sure you bounce that off them is so important.
Yeah, taking that southern route on a coast-to-coast trip,
Oh, yeah.
you know, it may be add a couple miles, and typically sometimes customers will pay us a little bit extra, but you stay down, you get away from the weather, plus you get an opportunity to come to the yard. So.
Yep. So, anything else you want to add?
That's about it, Dave.
All right, man. Well, appreciate everything that you all do out there. You do great. Last couple of weeks, like I said, we've been doing really well on our winter driving accidents. Hopefully we have no more, but you know, we're only in the second week of February, and you know, we've got another week or another month or so, maybe 2 months of weather out there. So stay positive. We will get to those 50, 60 degree temperatures, Dennis, one of these days.
One of these days we'll be playing golf after work.
There you go. That's right. So, like next, introduce Stan Kasterke. Stan, like Steve said earlier, head of our training department. So, come on up, Mr. Kasterke. Appreciate you.
Hey guys. Hey everyone. Hope you're all doing well today and being safe out there. So I just wanted to review some of our driver training program. I did want to talk about the number of people we've had come through. 2018 was our very best year in the driver training as far as people testing out. We had 3,596 people who actually obtained their CDL through the driver training program. We averaged 69.15 people per week passing the CDL test. 2019, we had 3,003, so we were down just a little bit in 2019. We averaged 57.75 people per week passing the CDL exam. Now in 2020, we're all going to look back. 2020 has given us perfect vision of what we don't want, correct? So in 2020, we had 2,521 people pass the CDL exam, which was 48.48 people per week who passed that CDL exam. Now it's at all 3 locations. So we have a PA terminal, we're third-party testers there, here in Missouri, and then in Utah. So I thought that was interesting information. Since the program started in 2002, we've had over 27,000 people come through our driver training program here at Prime. Right now, 60% of the people that we have driving at Prime actually came through our driver training program, which kind of leads to what Mr. Fields was talking about earlier, that we have these 14-year people, 2 million mile drivers here. It's always exciting to me when I see people that started in the program when I first started here in 2010 that are now getting their million mile award. It's beyond amazing to me how that makes me feel. So I wanted to also talk about our instructors banquet. I've had a few questions about that. Now, on March the 13th of last year, that was when our instructor banquet was scheduled. Guess what happened that day? That was the day that things went a different direction, wasn't it? So we didn't have that instructors banquet because of COVID and the discovery of things going on. We are going to have a virtual banquet this year on March the 4th. So I wanted to be sure to announce that. We're getting names together, we're getting things together. I think the advantage this year, and especially with is having Facebook and the virtual meetings and things like that, we're going to be able to get a lot more people involved. We'll have that as a kind of a public event, and we'll announce the winners of our from our different divisions and things like that on there. Also, so I want to talk about my primary thing today is to talk to you about becoming an instructor and a trainer. Today, this week, we're going to have around 100 people here in Springfield that are going to need instructors. We're so fortunate to have this program, like was mentioned earlier. You know, Prime's unique in the way that we do things, and that's a good thing. We're not driving around parking lots all day long for the most part, teaching people how to drive a truck, and it's on-the-job training. So that's the best way to learn how to do this. So I would ask you as a driver here, if you've had at least 9 months, if you came through our PSD training program, you have at least 9 months of experience here at Prime, you could possibly qualify to be an instructor or trainer. Get with your fleet manager on that. So a few things that we look for on that, we look at your net fuel cost. Mile per gallon is great. You know, we want you to get the best miles per gallon that you possibly can get. But that also associates with your net fuel cost. Your fleet manager can review that with you and let you know. We also want you to have PSC class, the Prime Safety Certified class, at least 30 days before, or within 30 days of when you start coming for that certification class. Typically, we start the class here in Springfield on Tuesdays, so that Monday or that weekend prior to that Tuesday, you would get in here to get that PSC class. Now, those classes are usually full, so you want to be sure and get with your fleet manager to get signed up for that before. Now, another thing, if you're an independent contractor, we want you to have ACE 2 before you come into class. That's one of the best things that we have. Another one of the best things that we have here at Prime is our ACE 2 class. It's going to help you understand your business, understand how you can be profitable in that business. I was talking to a lady just last week, one of our independent contractors, who said, well, I don't want to take a day to come in and do the class. Whenever I looked at her net fuel cost, she was at 20 cents per mile on her net fuel cost, which is high. The refrigerated divisions average about 16 cents per mile on their net fuel cost. So I explained to her, I said, if you will come to this class, I promise you, you're going to put money in the bank, not in the tank. You're going to see the advantage of being able to come to that class and see those profits into your checking account. The next thing that I want to talk about on that too is if you first time certify as an instructor, we do want you to take a PSD and take them on through the TNT phase. Now, Mr. Tassin, Steve Tassin is needing TNT trainers. We feel like it's a great experience for you to take that person who's never driven a truck. You're going to be setting up with them for that 2 to 3 weeks. They're going to develop their driving skills while you're sitting in that passenger seat with them. And then from that phase, once they test out, then you're going to take them into the TNT phase. You have a lot better idea of what their skill level is, having set up with them for that 2 to 3 weeks before you take them out. Don't be afraid of that. I have people coming to me all the time, I don't want to be on the training pad for a week or 2 weeks. Well, if you are, you probably haven't done your work well enough out on the road in the on-the-job training part of it. And we're here to help you and to support you in that too. So don't ever feel like that you are not going to be profitable doing a PSD, okay? That's really all that I have on there. I think we're going to take questions later on, but I do want to introduce Justin Kaufman. He's in our maintenance department. We appreciate what those guys do to keep us on the road and keep things moving. So thank you. Be safe.
All right, thank you, Stan. I first would, greatly appreciate everyone joining in and watching this video today. I've got a few things, winter maintenance tips that I would like to go over with everyone. Starting with fuel, we're starting to experience a few gel ups now in our call center. And I would just like to encourage everyone out there who may be traveling in areas where, you know, it's below freezing, or even right now it's, you know, pretty close to that here in Springfield. So, but if you're in areas below freezing or heading to areas below freezing, make sure that your fuel is properly treated. We sell at all of our terminals in the Plaza Bays a product called Penray Power R Plus. You can pick it up. It's a hair over $5 at any of our terminals. It will cover both tractor tanks and then also your reefer tanks. So you want to make sure that you get both covered so that you don't have any gel ups. And if you can't or don't have access to Penray Power R Plus, then there's different winter conditioners that are out there that are truck stops. You know, we recommend Power Service as another one of those, which is actually sold at a lot of different truck stops. And just make sure that whatever you buy, you look on the front of the bottle, you see how many gallons it treats, and read the instructions on the back of the bottle to see, you know, the proper dosing. But you know, what we're trying to do is prevent any gel ups out there. There's another product that I would recommend having, 911, you know, and we sell it at all of our terminals as well. This is for if you do get gelled up, you know, if your truck does start to sputter out, you can add this to your fuel tanks and, you know, reach out to your road system advisor. We can also have a road service help, you know, get it into your fuel filters as well. But, you know, we want to only use this product if we're already gelling up, and it also works for reefers. So, you know, just kind of a few other items that are good to have on board with you are jumper cables. These I got actually stolen out of our company store. They're 2 to 4 gauge. These are 4 gauge jumper cables, but we recommend 4 gauge or 2 gauge jumper cables, heavy duty jumper cables. And if you get into a case where you're picking up a reefer that you're having trouble starting, most of our trucks will have posts at the rear of the cab that you can peel the caps off of, hook up your jumper cables, open up the curbside reefer door, put your jumper cables up there, and actually jump start your reefer unit. So it may take 30 minutes to an hour of charging your reefer battery before you can get your reefer where it'll start. And the same thing works for your truck. So, I mean, if you're having problems getting your truck started, you can hook those jumper cables up and, you know, give it some time, you know, or rely on somebody else to help jump start you. The jumper cables are really key. Just some other things to mention: lock deicer. If you do have a frozen lock, you can spray that deicer, get it unfrozen. An extra set of wiper blades isn't a bad idea. You know, your chains will help you get out of a slick spot if you can lay them down. Also, a little bit of kitty litter, you know, is a good idea just to have on board where you can throw that down as well, kind of get you going. And there's a few more topics I just want to brush on. One is making sure that we're properly coupling to trailers. And, you know, in the wintertime, you know, and we see it sometimes even more if you're bobtailing around somewhere, ice and snow will pack into the fifth wheel jaw, and it'll prevent you from latching correctly or even being able to unlatch. So, you know, just want to make sure that all of that snow and all that ice is cleared out of that fifth wheel jaw, and that we're following the proper coupling procedures, you know, which really are positioning that trailer, whereas you go to back under it, you're pushing it up a little bit. You're hearing the lock latch, setting your parking brakes, getting outside your truck, visually inspecting, make sure there's no gap in between the trailer and the fifth wheel. And this is the throw to that fifth wheel and make sure that fifth wheel jaw is actually closed. You know, and that's the step that we sometimes miss in the winter, and that's, you know, causes a drop trailer. Obviously, you get out, you make sure that your visual indicator is in place on your fifth wheel handle, get in your truck and do your pull test, and then you're good to go. But wanted to throw that out there. And one last thing, you know, we do sometimes run across different or some brake skidded tires in the wintertime. So, you know, in the morning, whenever you're getting up, walking around, doing your pre-trip, mark your tires. You can just take a glove and kind of mark the dew of your tires, and get in your truck and pull forward. And let's make sure that all wheel positions are actually turning, and we don't have, you know, any frozen brake pads to rotors and or shoes to drums locking up a wheel. And so, you know, make sure that everything's good to go there. And that's all I've got, unless, and we'll have questions here in a bit.
I think the key is we have to remember this thing is live. This is our first go at this, and I think we're off to a pretty good start. Kind of been looking at the comments as they come in. We did pick up some questions. Don't give up on us. This is going to be the new format. We just need to do a better job in getting that information back out to you. So I've got a couple of questions here, which I think is great. Appreciate anyone that's putting comments or questions. For the first one, I'm going to ask Jim Guthrie to come up. Jim's our Director of Operations in the Reefer Division, and this is probably the number one question that's always on people's mind. And Jim, basically the question is the freight outlook for the rest of this winter into spring, kind of your thoughts and observations on where we are.
Absolutely. Well, hello everybody. It's good to be back on video. Certainly look forward to the time when we can be back in person. I say our freight outlook is really, really good, maybe as good as it's ever been. And really a lot of that goes back to how each of you performed back in the first stages of this pandemic. And then throughout the pandemic, the service that we've provided, all of you out there every day picking up and delivering has really solidified our position with customers. And customers are really looking to partner with strong, great service providers, strong carriers that can provide lots of capacity for their volumes. All their outlooks look really good. They look busy. They have forecasts that are very favorable for lots of volume. So the outlook is really positive. What we need is more of what you're doing every day, and that's picking up and delivering on time. We need to continue thinking about how we can get more drivers in. If you know somebody out there that would be a good driver, either experienced or no experience, we've got a great opportunity here. Over time, we've always performed extremely well relative to the industry. The spot market, there's a lot of ups and downs and a lot of volatility. It's kind of like a roller coaster, and every once in a while it goes crazy up, but then it goes down to the ditch for a long period of time. But Prime always, over time, performs very, very well, and we've got lots of opportunity right now. The more drivers we can get in now, and the more people we can get to be out there safely and picking up and delivering on time, the better we're going to reinforce our position as the industry leader as this economy and this marketplace evolves over the next year to 2 years. We don't know exactly how that's all going to last, how long it's going to last, or where it's going to go. But what we do know is that we're recognized as the best carrier in the industry, particularly as it relates to refrigerated and flatbed and tanker, of course. But our reputation, because of all your efforts, is outstanding. And right now we've got a unique opportunity to really lock in really good terms, rates, volumes. All those things are going to be favorable. There's going to be some really good times ahead here. So, the marketplace is definitely favorable. The outlook is great for us.
Yeah, that's good information, Jim. I'm going to keep you up here for 1 minute and hit you with one more question, just a general one. Someone was asking about home time, and obviously it depends on the division and freight and where you live, but can you just talk a little bit about home time and working with your fleet manager?
Yeah, if you're an independent contractor, we have, you have very, very no restrictions on home time. So that's really something where you work that out with your fleet manager, what your business, what your individual business can accomplish, where you want to be, when you want to be there. We take care of all that, in conjunction with your fleet manager and working through those situations. So we have seen a lot of our drivers taking a little bit more time off, which we think is great for them. You deserve it. But we also want you out there as much as you can be out there, because the opportunity right now for us is really great. And so our customers are asking every day for more help. They want more and more. And so we're trying to give them everything we can, and obviously we still want you to accomplish your goals and objectives and to get home whenever you need to. So home time is kind of an individual business decision, and that's something that you make between you and your fleet manager. Company drivers are a little bit different. There's some guidelines there, and that's something that you work out with your fleet manager as well. We want to get you home whenever you need to be home and get you right back out whenever you're ready to go. And so I think the communication with your fleet manager is extremely important so that we know when you're going to be available, where you need to be, and we're working very hard to accomplish those things for you. Does that answer the question?
That's a great answer, Jim. Appreciate you coming and joining us today.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate it. Everybody be safe out there.
Now, I've got a couple other questions that I'm just going to touch on. They're kind of softballs, so I can go ahead and handle these, and then I think we'll bring Robert and Steve up unless there's a few more questions that come in. One of them is about the upgrade process and the number of miles. Our training program, bar none, is the best training program in the trucking industry. And I know that from talking to my peers out there. I also know it from personal experience when over 25 years ago, I got my CDL and what training I was provided in comparison to what our drivers get right here. The mileage amount that's required for upgrading, it does fluctuate certain times. And the reason it fluctuates is not safety. We're never going to upgrade a driver before they're ready to upgrade. And when we were at 30,000 miles, we were comfortable with that, remembering that 30,000 could be increased if there was an accident, if there was an issue with critical events, if the trainer didn't feel the driver was just ready to upgrade. I know you want to get into your own truck. I know you want to run your own business, but you don't want to get out there until you're ready. And believe me, it can be overwhelming that first time you're out there and you look over and, well, my trainer's not here. This is my decision on the load I'm taking, my trip planning. Everything I'm going to do depends on me right now. So don't be over anxious to upgrade. So the mileage does fluctuate. I think we'll see here in the future that it's actually going down a little bit. Another factor that plays into the upgrade process is truck availability. And there's a lot that goes into that. What's coming from the factory, what trucks we have available. So you put all that together, and the upgrade process starts with you and your fleet manager. When he thinks you're ready to upgrade, it'll go to various departments. We'll look at your record, and when everyone's comfortable, we'll say, okay, this driver is ready to upgrade. I do think we try to make it as financially beneficial to you when you are teaming. Our co-driver pay, our team pay is also second to none within the industry. So we're making sure that we take care of those drivers that are out there as second seats. So that's kind of, in general terms, the upgrade process. The other question was, what's our newest terminal? And I'll just say it's probably, I would call it Salt Lake City, just because so much has gone into the infrastructure out there. The building is now open, the new building, the cafeteria. What our goal is that whether you stop in Springfield, whether you stop in Pittston, whether you stop in Salt Lake City, that you can get the same services at any of our terminals, that you can walk in, that you can get your truck worked on, that you can get a meal, that there's a bunk room. For the in-house associates, there's different amenities available, but we want to make it almost seamless. Doesn't matter where you stop, and that you want to stop at one of our terminals. So that Salt Lake City terminal, if you haven't been out there, please get out there. I saw it in construction. I haven't seen the finished product yet, but I think what that's going to do is that's going to give us a challenge. It's going to give us a goal to grow into that terminal. We didn't build it for what we need right now. It's built for the future, and that puts challenge on us, on our recruiting department, that we grow into that terminal, because that's a good area. Salt Lake City is a trucking town, so we're going to take it over out there, more so than we already have. So I think we've had some good information today. I want to thank Dennis and Dave for talking about winter driving. Remember, you are the captain of your ship out there. Please make wise decisions. Stan Kasterke's information is always spot on. I think it kind of shows that PSD program is the lifeblood of our company. We put through a lot of students. What that has allowed us to do is grow. And if we had more time, we could talk about the importance of growth, and maybe we'll do that next week and have Jim talk about that. But the more we can bring to a shipper, say, we can provide this capacity to you, the more control we have over the rates and the freight that we get. So growth is critical to us. And Justin always has good information for us. Winter is just so challenging for you out there. Trucking is challenging year round, but winter just takes it to a new level with the winter, the weather out there, and last winter was pretty good for us, and we started off a little bit shaky this year. If you listen to the safety messages on hold that play on Monday, you know we did have a few challenges the first couple weeks. I think we've got that stabilized right now, and we think the rest of the winter will be where we expect it to be. So this is my last opportunity to talk to you, this first Facebook Live driver safety meeting. We will be back. My commitment to you is that we get out in front of you each week with this information. We're going to get back to do that. As the other speakers said, I want to thank you for what you do out there. This country would stop in a heartbeat without our truckers. And I think if there's been one positive from COVID, it's the recognition that truckers have received. And I think that's critical. So I want to thank you for that. So, you know, probably the neatest thing I get to do in these meetings is introduce our final speakers. So I'm going to ask Steve Wutke to come up. Steve is our Vice President of Sales and Marketing, and ask Robert Lowe to come up. Robert founded the company in 1970. He's still here every day. So I'm going to turn it over to Steve and to Robert. And gentlemen, thank you both for being with us.
Hey Steve, you keep that mask on just a minute. I'm going to introduce you. First off, I want to say good morning to you all. It's good to be here for our first venture into live. Keep that mask on, don't take it off yet. You know, you got to remind Steve to mask up. He'll tear that thing off in a heartbeat. We want to be safe around here. We want to keep everybody safe. So now, Steve, you may take your mask off, and I'm going to put mine on while you're speaking because you might be, you know, I don't know.
I don't know what you don't know, but thank you. Man, that was quite an intro. It's nice to see you all, and just want to say these safety meetings have been part of our culture for such a long time, and we've missed them. And you know, I liken it to when I was growing up and I had siblings and we were all in the back seat going somewhere, and I kept saying, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet? When are we going to get there?" And that's kind of what I do to Robert now. I say, when are we going to get people back? What's our game plan? When can we get past this this COVID SOP and try to get back to our culture, which is being around our driver base and our in-house associates. So, you know, I will say this about business in general. Jim did a nice job touching on it. The law of supply and demand is a great way to impact how we allocate capacity. And right now we have a lot of leverage. In fact, we're struggling trying to hit most all of our commitments with our existing customer base. So as it relates to business in general, demand is over the top. Our goal, our salespeople, Robert's hurting us this way as well. We're out there pounding on rates and accessorials. And when we're talking about accessorials, we're talking about well-timed detention. We're talking about out-of-route miles. We're talking about fuel surcharge money. We're talking about terms of payment. We're talking about tolls. We're talking about all of those things that impact your ability to take a check home. So our customer base has been very receptive, and we're making progress. You know, our goal as a contract carrier is to try to move rates and get them as close to the spot as we can, and still be able to operate 52 weeks a year with our customer base. As Jim said, as he alluded to, the spot is only good when the spot's up, and it's not up 52 weeks a year. So our goal is to create earnings for our driver base that are very good for the investment of your time. And I can tell you, anything that we get is simply a result of the service that you all give our customers. So I want to thank you for that. A couple things other that I wanted to mention. This percentage on the road is a bit of a concern for us. We love for you all to be able to take time off. It's important that you are able to spend time with your family. However, having said that, with that percent on the road available, we're shortfalling in some of our areas with our customer base, and we're working hard at trying to correct that. We're working hard by recruiting, bringing in more drivers, trying to grow our fleet again. When COVID first hit, Robert, as you recall, we really flattened out our growth. We knew it was, well, we were so uncertain about what the business was going to be like. We just chose to protect everybody and not add capacity. As it flipped on us, we started on the loud pedal again, started mashing the pedal, recruiting, and getting our training going. So we're in the growth mode again. Part of all of that is, again, a result of our trainers and what you all do, investing time to educate and train these new drivers that want this profession. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for investing in that time. The last thing I'll do, and then I'll let Robert wrap up or whatever he wants to do. I mean, you can't dictate what he's going to do. You just saw that on the front end of this. However, we need to give our veterans a shout out. You all and serving our country and protecting us and keeping us safe is unreal. And we have a tremendous amount of veterans in our fleet. So from Robert and I to you all, we want to give you a special thanks for the service to our country. Robert, go ahead.
Thanks for that, Steve. We do appreciate our vets. We appreciate all our drivers. Each and every one of you through this pandemic period. I mean, it has been a struggle. Am I lying? I mean, this has been something else. From approximately a year ago right up until today, we have been trying to keep our folks safe. We have been delivering freight on time and safely. You all have really done a remarkable job. And I want to thank you again, like Steve, from my heart. It's been inspiring to us to watch you all out there doing what you do. The wintertime and this weather and this ice and snow, we've had some events. It's gotten pretty ugly here and there, and you all have hung in there. You know, it's not Robert Lowe or it's not Steve Wutke that make these customers want to ship on Prime. It's the service that you provide, and we never ever want to diminish that or slight that thought, because it's really all about the sacrifices you make to keep this company and indeed this country moving, and you do a fine job of it, and that's what creates the demand for our service, and it really is over the top. I think we turned down 14,000 loads last week. 14,000 loads that shippers wanted us to haul that we didn't have the capacity to haul. And is that a bad thing or a good thing? I wish we could have hauled them, but it's good that we have that kind of demand. And I think that's something that's going to be here for a minute or two. This thing is going to cycle. We talked about the spot market and the ups and downs. We're going to be here. We're going to be steady. We're going to have business now. We're going to have business in the future. We're going to have business when it turns up. We're going to have business when it turns down. That's the beauty of our operation. I mean, you can accomplish your goals, your dreams here. We have many people that start off with one truck, and now they have 5, or they have 10 or 20. Our business model lends itself to that. It's part of our offering, and we're proud of you for doing what you do. So thank you again. And we're going to start having these meetings. You know, I think we'll get started here probably next week again, and look forward to it. Appreciate y'all. Thanks again.
Robert, let me touch on one thing that I wanted to reinforce, and that is the captain of the ship. We're into bad weather, as you all know. We don't expect you to run if you don't think it's safe. What we do expect you to do is to let your fleet manager know what's going on and that you're getting safe and when you think you're going to be moving again. And it's kind of the same about taking time off and PTAs and how that all works. Our fleet managers and our sales coordinators are really using the information you give them and booking against your depart time or your arrival time. So the more information we can exchange with our fleet managers, I think the better off we will be going forward. Once again, as Robert said, we really appreciate all you've done, and please be safe. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate you.